welcome to Live Action Star Wars Presents Data Link. I'm Ralph.
I'm James, and Ralph, I
And
have missed that intro. Sorry. Go for it.
it's weird. It was weird. I was going in and changing the back end of the closing credits, and I was like, oh yeah,
We've got a different intro.
totally forgot. It's a totally different intro.
I mean,
And because it's a totally different intro, we're discussing animation.
we are for the first time, I think. Like we've talked about like some video game
Lego video
bits,
game
bits and bobs, but yeah, this is our first time actually talking about an animated series.
Yeah,
It's weird.
Maybe our last.
Maybe. Let's see how it goes. I know what I think.
Before we get going, I just want to mention one thing.
Hit me.
This is a personal thing, and it's a plug. Every week, you might see this on my cup, Earth to Kentucky. Dustin and Polly, Mabel and Oscar own a shop in Kentucky called Earth to Kentucky. And good friends, saw them at DesignerCon a couple weeks ago.
Awesome.
And they were spotlighted on a show called A Toy Store Near You.
Cool.
Which is now playing on Prime Video, if you have Prime Video.
Oh, cool.
So it's season 5
in the UK as well.
It's season 5, and it's just titled Earth to Kentucky.
That's amazing.
So
Is it? I'm guessing that the show
iTunes.
just highlights like mom and pop shops that are. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's a good like 20 minutes of their shop, and anybody that watches us, anybody who likes toys, anybody who likes it's like weird.
They do customs as well, don't they? Like.
Yeah, like bootlegs and stuff.
Yeah.
And like highly recommended.
Awesome.
So we should get Dustin on sometime.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. We could do another toy episode.
Chat. Yeah.
That'd be very good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
We got a few other people here. Lucci Johnny's here, and he has been very excited for this episode. So much so that he was in the comments yesterday waiting for us. Yeah, Johnny, you can leave comments whenever. As soon as the video is up on YouTube, even if we haven't gone live yet, you can leave comments. So it's always fun for us when we jump into here and see that there's already stuff waiting for us. It's great. StreamYard also always waiting for us. Thank you, StreamYard. We love you.
Right.
Stevie is here as well this morning. And Sarah is here, as is... Oh, wow. People are jumping in now. So Scott D is also here. Yep, talking about the show and also about the fact that we are covering animation on live action. And Nick of Time, Adam Fraser is here as well. Hey, Adam. How you doing?
Kayla Silva.
And Kayla's here as well. Oh, wow. Everyone's
popping
excited about the animation.
It's yeah.
So you hadn't seen this yet, had you? We're talking about.
No, I watched.
And
I watched the first 3.
Okay.
I watched the first 3 2 nights ago. The second 3 last night, which I got to be honest, like as much as I love Andor, it was really nice not getting up at 5:30, getting ready and putting on the show. Like I slept in all the way till like 6:10.
Nice.
Made breakfast.
Nice.
But
for me today, it was a case of like, I had 3 more left to rewatch. Because I was looking forward to doing a nice watch of all 6 last night, and I got halfway through, and then I was like, oh shit, I'm meant to be at work. It was a complete mess up on my end. I got my days all screwed up, and so I had to rush off to work. So I waited and I watched the other 3 this afternoon before jumping on here. But it was nice because I knew the length of them. I knew that, take the credits off and they're about 10 minutes each, maybe a little over. And like I was like, I can do that. I can knock them out in half an hour. That's great. So I didn't have to rush around doing anything. I could have a bit more of a relaxed day. And as you said, like taking away the homework element of it, even though we were watching something for this episode, it does take a pressure off. But still, if there's new Andor, I'm happy to do it.
Because I can do the artwork days in advance and not have to change it early in the morning.
Weeks. Yeah, that's it.
There's no time crunch. There's no grabbing search terms for our video.
That's it. We're not scrambling back and forth messaging each other at like what's 5 a.m. for you. Like, yeah. So that's nice. Mm-hmm.
That's
what
nice.
did you think of the show itself, though, Ralph?
I mean, here's the thing with live action Star Wars and with Data Link. It's not just this runs over to Data Link. Is we try to find the positive things and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Always.
My main issue with this is why?
Mm-hmm.
Why these stories like I'm all for more Star Wars content, 100%. And I've always wanted anthology series.
Yeah.
And of course I want them live action because I prefer it. But so I'm like, when they announce this, I'm like, okay, we're gonna get these stories that are gonna be really integral to Star Wars and
Hmm.
probably will help. Maybe it still will uh, uh, fill in some gaps that we may need for future episodes of Bad Batch or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we get the first episode with Baby Ahsoka. Now, I don't know if this is expectations, but as soon as I see, I'm like, okay, I know who Ahsoka is. So we're in a prequel. I know she becomes a Jedi. I know that she leaves the Jedi. I know that she meets with the Mandalorian. So here's this prequel of her as a baby. And I'm like, okay, what's an interesting angle? We'll finally see, and of course, I don't read the book, so you probably already know this information, but we'll finally see what the process is of Jedi taking babies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is going to be cool because I've always wanted to see that. That's something I've always wanted to see. And essentially, we get episode 2 of The Mandalorian, The Mudhorn, where it's like the whole thing is she knows the Force. And I'm like, again, it's the
It's
problem
the
with
innate
prequels is
ability without training sort of thing. Yeah.
she's not going to die.
Hmm.
So I know that. The saber-tooth tiger takes her away. And I'm like, this
She's gonna
isn't
be fine.
tense. She's
Yeah.
going to be fine. And so I'm like, okay, well, this is how they find out that she's a force user, but that's how the episode ends. Is
Yeah.
she's a force user. I'm like, I know that already. So I'm like, okay, whatever. We saw her culture, that's world building, that's great. We can see where they came from and fine. And then I'm like, maybe the next one will get her story and how the
We get the Plo
Jedi,
Koon side of it.
like,
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
the like how did Jedi convince parents to give up their child to?
I
We
mean,
got a glimpse of
that's it. I
Obi-Wan
think
mentions a little bit in the Obi-Wan series.
yeah, yeah, and even in Clone Wars, we see Plo Koon picking up Ahsoka, but I don't think we ever sort of see the scene. I think it's just like we see an image of it, and it's like
Yeah.
it's her like force memory or something about it, but we don't see like the actual scene in the dialogue between Plo Koon and her parents and her tribe. Like, I know what you mean. I would like to see that. Like, I would like
Yeah.
to see
And
the yeah.
for me, since I don't read the books, I'm like, okay, these 6 stories, like they haven't done animation since the last season of Bad Batch.
Mm.
And so I'm like, okay, I can't wait to see what this is going to be. Like
Hmm.
this should be really cool. Like it should be like really interesting stuff that you know, that they really want to showcase. And I was like, this is really not anything.
Fair.
This is really not anything.
Yeah.
So the first one kind of for me, I mean, I get it. Like Ahsoka is tied with all the animated series, and she's gonna be tied to live action.
Listen,
So it's
she has
probably gonna
become
be
an integral part of the Star Wars lore for sure.
right. So I understand them. This is a good place to start. Ahsoka is a baby. Get you more familiar with the character. People who haven't read any of the Ahsoka books or anything like that haven't really, even if you watched all of Clone Wars, the first Clone War movie, she's
Ah,
introduced as a capable Padawan.
yep. Yeah, she's
So
what,
it makes
12,
so it
13?
makes sense. It's like, hey, listen, for guys like Ralph who only follow
What's
a
on
visual
screen.
medium timeline,
Yeah.
yeah, this is a good place to start. It makes total sense. I just wish it was more about
I think
something
also
I didn't know.
after the success of Grogu, I think they see a crossover. You know, you put a baby cute alien on screen, and you can attract non-Star Wars fans. Like that, all of the thumbnails for this show are that first episode, just with
Yeah,
baby Ahsoka, because it's
I'll
cute
tell you.
and the animation is amazing. So I understand it from that point of view, but I completely get what you're saying as well. It's like it feels like a story that we've seen before, and it feels just kind of like it's cut off just as it's about to get interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm gonna say overall, they all sort of felt like that to me, with the exception of the Yaddle one,
Yeah.
mostly because we know nothing about Yaddle and we got to see more of what Yaddle is.
It's a
And
great
that
episode.
storyline sort of fills gaps that we already kind of deduced from watching
Mm-hmm.
episode 2 and episode 3,
1, 2,
as
and
far
3,
as
really. Like, yeah.
Sifo-Dyas and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool because I'm like, oh, this is more fleshed out stuff.
I love
Fine.
that episode.
That was my favorite one.
Same.
But then,
But for
like,
me,
the second episode,
the first and last were the weakest of the bunch. I thought all 3 Dooku ones were interesting, but the Yaddle one being
that's what's funny is so the second episode opens with Dooku and Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
And as soon as it opens, I tell Stevie, both these guys are already dead. And that was coming off right after watching the Ahsoka episode. Like, okay, I didn't really, it was unnecessary. And then it opens on 2 guys who are dead, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, because I'm sure this has been brought up over the course of the last month or however long the show's been here. Do we know why Qui-Gon doesn't have Padawan braids?
Because he's more attractive without, I guess. But I mean, I don't know.
I was thinking maybe he was like,
didn't even think about it.
I could see it being something where either Dooku or Qui-Gon being sort of anti-Jedi, like being like sort of
both of them.
Yeah, like Qui-Gon's whole thing was the living force. He was all about the living force.
Yep.
And he had a belief that the force was from beings that lived within all living objects and stuff.
He loved.
So he kind of.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would be the Padawan braid would be something that's like Jedi culture. Mm-hmm. And he's part of that, but he's got a different belief system. So I was like,
he's going to he's going to do it his own way. And Dooku very much doing it his own way. He wanting to anyway.
So I could see, I would have liked to have seen a scene where that was, again, this is all like,
is he referred to as specifically his master at that time? Or is it like an Obi-Wan and Anakin thing where even after they weren't master and apprentice anymore,
they still kind of hang out?
They were partnered up a lot.
It could have been that.
Is he passed his trials, but he's a young Jedi Knight sort of thing, potentially.
Right. But I like that. I like both ideas.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I might have missed something. I like the assumption is that he's his Padawan at the time because we know that relationship existed.
Because it's 2 guys hanging out.
Yeah. But then we also see a partnership in the next one in episode 3 with Dooku and Mace Windu.
Right.
Both masters, neither on the council at the beginning of the episode.
Mace Windu,
douchebag,
becoming more and more evil
every time we see it.
Like, so he shuts down Anakin at every turn. We've talked about this on previous episodes. I think Revenge of the Sith mostly.
I did as well in my review of the book
Brotherhood.
Yeah.
But so this like he did shady shit. It's seemingly shady shit to get on the council in the first place.
So just sort of backhanded. Yeah, it's the sort of
like that was Dooku's theory.
Yeah. It's never confirmed, but it just doesn't.
Which is fun because so like in Star Wars, it was black and white. Here's Darth Vader in black, and he's the bad guy. Here's Luke Skywalker in white. He's the good guy.
Yeah,
that's it. That's Star Wars.
Yep.
Then in the prequel, George Lucas does this shit, and people are like, "Oh, that's stupid." Whatever. Prequels are dumb. I said it was bad. Everyone said it was bad. I've come around on it.
Yep.
But like every time I rewatch the prequels, it's the same. It's the same movie.
Mm-hmm.
Pod Race might be longer than when I originally saw it, but other than that, it's essentially the same movie with all the same dialogue, all that bad dialogue. Which it's corny.
There's some. That's not great.
Let's just say it's campy.
Yeah.
And Mace Windu, every time I watch it, I'm just like, he's getting worse and worse. And then I watch this, and I'm like,
not the good guy.
No,
not so.
No, I'm not a bad guy, dude. I like good guy stuff. I love this Mace Windu lightsaber I have, and now I'm realizing this is the
like
darkest saber I have. But if you think about it, purple is probably closer to red than it is to blue.
Yeah, there's something to it.
Yeah. So Speaking of which, Dooku's lightsaber being blue,
I mean, I could
it
go
looks
into
so
some deep
weird.
like Mace Windu, Vapad lightsaber form lore and say how he touches on the dark side and all that sort of stuff, but
But
that's
for
all
me, like you
legends.
read the book, so you're getting a lot more info on Mace Windu. This is my
Massive. Yeah.
first exposure to a visual medium where Mace Windu has been flat out like questioned by somebody.
I
Like
think
he's never
yeah.
questioned.
And it's not that he's evil. He's not gone. Like, he's not dark side at all. But he's in a similar way to the corruption that Dooku is seeing in the Senate and all these senators and like the politicians and that sort of thing. Mace Windu's doing the same thing, but amongst the Jedi. It's that backhanded, like sort of one-upping himself by sort of not stepping on the other guy, but just going round the back of it's you can see
Yeah.
why someone like Dooku would get so frustrated with this stuff, like with all of the
Yeah.
politicking of it all, because
And
it's the separation of Jedi and Senate, you know. It's
but it's almost like Palpatine knows. It's almost like
Mm,
I wish Palpatine faced off against Mace Windu. Oh, they did.
yeah,
That's
that happened.
stupid. They did. Yeah. Because I was thinking in my head, I was only thinking Yoda versus Palpatine, but no.
Yeah.
So obviously Palpatine gets to Anakin, who Mace Windu was pushing away,
Never liked him.
and Dooku feels like he's at odds with Mace Windu, and so it's almost like the Emperor's using Mace Windu as like this thing to like find weakness in
Mm.
the Jedi Knight. Like
Mhm.
Mace Windu is the one that's like not good, and he's the one that's causing Jedi to doubt the Jedi Order.
That's it.
And so Palpatine just comes in and is like, oh hey.
He's the most. I think Mace Windu is the most sort of in line with the political, the Senate stuff. Like Stevie says it here, Windu is political, and he's like, if the Jedi are their own order and the Senate is their own order, and yes, they do work together. It's almost like Yoda's. He'll play nice, he'll talk, he'll discuss things, but Mace Windu's the one like, let's go see what the Senate wants to do. Let's talk to the Senate, and when that starts to flip, he's the one who's like, we need to go and take over. But yeah, no, I don't know. It is
So
really interesting seeing the other sides of Mace Windu. Like, instead of just being, hey, it's Sam Jackson, he's cool, we like him. It's going, actually, that's sort of his cover is he's cool, we like him, but he's more complex, which makes for good storytelling, I think.
yeah. So that's this one sort of hits you over the head, like because we've been speculating like, oh, Mace Windu's clearly not good.
No, he's not bad
from the movies.
He's not bad,
and this is
but
like
he's
just
also not
like
good for
solidifying it.
Yeah.
So Bryce Dallas Howard and Samuel L. Jackson. It's not Samuel L. Jackson.
It's not Sam. No, okay. It's the guy who did it in Clone Wars.
But
I think Ian McDiarmid came back. But yeah,
there was some talk of them getting together for a possible Mace Windu show, and I was like, I don't need it. But I mean, I listen. If they do it, if they do a live action Mace Windu show,
yeah,
and Bryce Dallas Howard's behind it, and they start like getting into who this guy is and what he's done to get to the Jedi Council and what he's actually doing to Anakin and Dooku and stuff.
Yeah.
You probably couldn't do Dooku in live action, but
depends on when. Depends on when in the era that they do it. Like, you could have a younger actor playing.
Yeah, get a younger person, like I don't know, Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch is
his face.
Yeah,
and voice kind of similar.
They're quite
but
Shakespearean actors. Both.
But I mean, I would like up until 13 weeks ago, I would have said no Star Wars, no Mace Windu. But with Andor and the way they handled Andor, if you could put that kind of serious edge,
yeah,
when you could put that kind of serious edge and really get into the political stuff of this, I'm like, and Bryce Dallas Howard. Like, maybe I would be okay with the Mace Windu series, six episodes tops.
Yeah,
like it's got to be short, but just like I'm just like, if we can really get into this guy,
and it's not again, it's the subversion of expectations. It's not, hey, this guy's so cool, look at him be badass and everything. It's like, no, this guy is conniving. Like,
I
and
guarantee he's got blood on his hands. You know he's got
yeah,
blood on his hands.
yeah. But also, like, I think this episode in particular is really interesting because it shows that despite them butting heads and seeing differently, in Attack of the Clones, Mace Windu's the one who's like, Count Dooku is a political idealist. Like, he used to be a Jedi. He was one of us. He's not capable of this bad stuff.
Yeah.
And then you've got him at the end where he's got his lightsaber to Dooku's throat. He could end it right there.
Right.
But it's him pulling back, him not wanting to do that, because roles reversed, Dooku wouldn't hesitate, I don't think.
Right.
But that hesitation does, I think, linger with Mace Windu going through the Clone Wars. Like, as the Clone Wars get deeper, I think he's like, shit, I could have stopped this. It's the killing baby Hitler sort of situation. But I think that's that depth. He can be an interesting character.
So as soon as this episode ended,
yeah,
I said, "Oh shit, Mace Windu's the Phantom Menace."
Yeah.
I know in the Phantom Menace we end with a shot of Palpatine.
Yeah. Well, we got.
But
I
Mace,
think there's 4. Mace is in that shot.
But Mace gets the last line of dialogue, if I'm not mistaken.
And
unless
I think
we free is, or peace, or peace is peace. Yeah, but still.
But I think in that shot of Palpatine, like the funeral shot, I think you're thinking of, right? Where you've got, I think it's Palpatine, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and then I think Yoda? It might be is it Yoda and then maybe Mace Windu in the background of it? I don't know.
The only thing I could picture from that is Ian McDermott's profile and that puppet Yoda.
Yeah, it's awful. There is someone that isn't at that funeral though, and has never been in that funeral since '99. It's not like they went in and digitally removed her. Yaddle.
Yeah.
Yaddle was never in that funeral scene, which is really interesting because they now explain why, and they kill her off, and they give her more to do in one 15-minute episode than she's had to do in over 20 years of existence.
Yeah. Her story was great.
Really
when she confronted Tyrannus and Palpatine, I guess this was him.
I think he's not quite Tyrannus.
The staging was almost identical to Vader becoming Vader, Lord Vader Rise.
Yeah.
It was the whole thing was set up. It's like poetry. But with him kneeling in front of the dead body, and then him,
a member or former member of the council, because she just had resigned from the council as well because she agreed with Dooku. So,
but as soon as she showed up, I'm like, she's got to be dead, right?
Yeah.
Unless she just goes into hiding, because that was the thing when she was hiding behind the boxes and was saying that she agreed with Dooku. I was hoping he'd let her go and she could just go into hiding like Ahsoka,
or Yoda,
or Yoda.
Yeah,
but it slowly started becoming the case, and it's one of those things where she's barely in the Phantom Menace. She's in I think there's a YouTube video that says all of Yaddle's appearances, and it's 8 seconds, and it's an 8-second YouTube clip.
Well, the puppet was just a knock up, a temp version of Yoda, wasn't it? When they were working on Yoda, they had another one, and they were like, put a wig on it.
It might have been a better looking Yoda.
I think it's a better puppet. They haven't gone in and changed that puppet because it's a much better looking puppet. Because they could do something a little bit different with it. I loved that episode. I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was interesting seeing, we'd seen her briefly in one of the High Republic books talking normal cadence. And then in this, it's just Bryce Dallas Howard delivering dialogue as a normal person.
Okay, hold on. So I know people are saying that, just Yoda's a weirdo. Here's the thing. Me and you are the same species.
Yeah.
And we have different accents.
Yeah.
I call it an elevator. You call it a lift. I don't know. I call it a trunk. You call it a boot. There's people that speak
your
Spanish.
Favorite? The urinal.
Oh, I can't. I hope they don't do on the next pottery throwdown. They don't do another urinal challenge because Jesus Christ. It was driving me nuts. I was drinking every time they say it, not because it was a game,
just to get through
a
the
drinking
episode.
game, just to get through the episode. But they're Spanish. There's there's Italian. There's all kinds of languages out there.
It's like we say when
But,
aliens don't look exactly the same. Like let people, let there be some diversity in the Star Wars universe amongst species.
like Bib Fortuna.
I was going to say Twi'leks, again, pronounced differently. But they sound different, they look different. Like they are the species, I think, with the most diversity that we've seen. And it's not just color, it's shape, size, everything. So I agree. I like it.
I think I'd also,
if we can headcanon that Yoda's just a bit a unique character, that fits as well with him, and he is definitely
also
a very unique guy.
Also, his species is not like a massive. There's not a ton of them.
No,
as far as we know of three.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming Yoda's older. Probably came, maybe, let's just say theoretically, he was the first one to learn basic and just didn't get it right. I mean, if you look at Arnold, dude's lived in the United States and in California for the majority of his life, but he still has the Austrian accent. Mm-hmm. So there's some things you can't shake. So just his way of speaking. Mm-hmm. And then he's also probably just being the only one of his species in the Jedi Temple until Yaddle shows up. I feel like it's just something he never shook. Like it's broken English. And it also, like, I'm assuming that this is the from a production standpoint, from a Filoni standpoint, we're going to get to a point where Grogu talks.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really silly if he does.
Baby voice talking backwards. Yeah.
There's a difference between Frank Oz doing it and whatever kid actor they get now to do Grogu. So I'm assuming this is one of the reasons why Yaddle was probably chosen for this. Because she was in the first one and that's it. It could have been Jarl Poof.
Yeah.
Who didn't show up in later episodes.
Warmongering Jarl Poof. So High Republic thing. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we'll do Yaddle. We'll give her a normal speaking sentence structure so that we have options when Grogu gets bigger. So I'm totally fine with it. But again, like there's all kinds of dialogue or dialects. Spanish sentence structures are different than English.
Mexican. I mean, even amongst Spanish, like where I'm like learning it, I'm learning the same thing two different ways because it's sort of like Mexican Spanish and Spanish. It's exactly.
So when it comes to translating that into basic, it's
things are gonna be lost. It's nice. I like it. It's
Yoda's not a weirdo. He's okay.
He might be eccentric later on when he's on a swamp. We at this point in the timeline with this, when Dooku is leaving, this was one of the two episodes that caused a stir with fans when it came out because they were nitpicking and it's like, this doesn't match up with this book, this doesn't match up with that book. And I was like, it's fine. Like, things don't always have to match up one for one. There are adaptions. You take what you want from whatever you want. We've always said that amongst everything Star Wars. There's plenty of stuff in Legends that I really like, and until it's contradicted, I choose to think of things that way. I'll believe it that way. And there's things that I'm like, oh, God, I'm glad that we don't have to deal with that anymore because the glove of Darth Vader was awful.
This is what that means.
It was a young adult book in the 90s, really, really bad. This is one of those ones, but it's like there's nothing that is actually contradicted. So if you go with, I think it's Dooku Jedi Lost, which was an audio drama, he's actually already left the Order at this point. Like, he leaves the Order after Qui-Gon dies, I think. Yeah, or maybe a bit before. But he leaves on good terms. That's why he's got a bust in the archives. He's part of the Lost 20. Like, he's well regarded. No, he would have left before Qui-Gon. But like, he goes to hand over his lightsaber, and Yoda is just like, "What are you doing? You keep it. It's yours. Like, you deserve this." And they still refer to him as Master. He's welcome to come and go whenever he pleases. He's just not a practicing Jedi anymore. He goes back and becomes the Count of Sereno. So I like the idea that at this point he sneaks in, and that's where he uses Cypher Diaz's code to delete the files. He's had
This
Cypher
this takes
Diaz.
place. This takes place around episode 1.
Yeah, right
Correct.
at the same time. Yeah, I mean during the first chunk of it takes place during episode 1 because it's after Qui-Gon gives his report about Maul.
Okay, so timelines.
Yeah.
You have these two guys talking about Camino, Palpatine and Dooku.
He goes in and deletes it.
But they're talking about they both are aware of the cloning facility on Camino. They also just killed a Yoda creature.
Yeah.
Do they take that Yoda creature to Camino to create Grogu?
Maybe. Or to Mount Tantus, where we've also
because
seen
I'm trying to remember
they've got another potential cloning facility there.
Because people did the timeline where Grogu's about the same age as Anakin or was born around the time of episode 1. Yeah. I want to say he was born around the time of episode 1.
Yeah, if he's 50 in The Mandalorian, then it would be about then, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Very possible.
Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. Because the only gap that would need to be filled, again, this episode is my favorite. The only gap that would need to be filled is
he needs to be at the temple.
How Grogu gets to the temple.
Yeah.
Could it be the sort of last redemption for Dooku? He's the only one that knew about the cloning facility. So maybe between episode 2 and 3 during the Clone Wars.
Diaz, I can't remember when Cypher Diaz dies. He dies around the same time as Qui-Gon. So he dies around this time as well. Like, I'm not sure if I don't think he's quite dead yet, but he dies right now. Because he's like, if we're thinking that Dooku is off here deleting Camino, then potentially at the same sort of time, Cypher Diaz is actually placing the order for the clones on Camino at the same sort of time.
But I'm assuming then
that gets killed.
Dooku is told to take that body to Camino or wherever to get it cloned. So what I'm saying is somewhere in the timeline before Order 66, Grogu ends up at the temple. Could this be Dooku prior to the events of episode 3?
Okay.
Getting Grogu because he would be the only one that knew about, maybe.
Yeah.
Getting him out of there. Or does the fucking Bad Batch on Camino find Grogu and take him back before Order 66? Like what is the tie-in?
I mean,
but we know that
we know that the Bad Batch. Oh, hang on. No, before Order 66. I don't know. I don't think so.
But here's the thing.
Maybe.
But here's the thing, though. I 100% believe that Grogu, clearly made from Pershing.
Yeah. I can see it. Yeah.
Was taken from Yaddle's.
But that's why I think
DNA.
like because of seeing like Pershing's like patch on his arm and everything, and seeing those same scientists at the end of the Bad Batch season 1 on Wayland with like Mount Tantus, again pulling from Thrawn trilogy, old Thrawn trilogy. That's a cloning facility as well. So there's going to be some science there. So if the Bad Batch are going in there to rescue Omega, are they? I can't remember. They're doing something. I can't remember how that season ended.
I don't remember any of it. I remember little Kanan was there.
I mean, yeah, and again in this. Yeah. They're doing something on Mount Tantus. Something's happening there.
Right. But so I'm just saying I 100% believe that Yaddle's metachlorine DNA cells are what created Grogu. Because I feel like it matches up with this timeline of episode 1.
Without going deep on it, like, I don't know. This is something that you'd have to ask Alex and Molly, Star Wars Explained. I feel like they'd be able to sort of definitively say yes or no one way. I don't have that knowledge to hand. But
where else would they get how else would they grow Grogu? How else would they create?
It doesn't need to be. Well, it doesn't need to be grown.
It's a cloning facility. You need to clone it from something else.
Yeah.
They're not just if they can create Grogu out of thin air, then they can literally do anything like create their own Palpatine.
They might have a few. They might have a few other Yoda Yaddle species somewhere hidden away.
Listen, I'm the guy that doesn't like shit having to always tie into each other, but I feel like this makes sense.
Okay.
I feel like this makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'd be cool with it if it played out that way. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the only thing that would happen is Mandalorian season 3, which Bryce Dallas Howard tends to direct episodes of, could possibly do a Grogu scene, a flashback of
With
him
Yaddle.
on Kamino with Pershing,
Yeah,
and a dead Yaddle on the table.
yeah.
I mean, she wouldn't talk, I guess, but
No, but
why is she tied to this
seems like
character?
she seems connected to the character now. So it would be interesting if she directed that. You just see her in a
Yeah,
tank, like with Terrace Nube and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
yeah.
Um,
Obi-Wan.
yeah,
Oh, the series.
yeah, in the
I was like,
Obi-Wan
Obi-Wan
series.
wasn't in a tank. I was like, okay.
Nah, in the series,
Yeah.
the old Jedi Master, who again we see in this show. This show did a lot of like background cameos or character cameos from animated series. Like this was very much a Jon Favreau joint of, hey, you know that guy that we had in that small arc of the Clone Wars, or these guys from the Bad Batch. Like here
Yeah.
they are. Even like the Clone Trooper Jesse got like a shout out
I
in one of the
assumed.
episodes.
I
Yeah.
assume that was I'm like, I don't remember Jesse, but it's probably died early on. And
He's the one who is like trying to kill Rex and Ahsoka at the very end of the Clone Wars. He's the one who's like takes command when Rex, who
which
like,
we saw that scene play out again.
yeah, we saw sort of the immediate beforehand of that last scene. So that was my favorite of the Ahsoka episodes. Was the like the training episode essentially.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
it
know.
was quite slight in the way of storytelling, but I just liked seeing the persistence, and it sort of just added a level of like connection between Ahsoka specifically and the clones because of all of this, and the fact that they beat the shit out of her, like just repeatedly, like
Relentlessly too. They're just like going in.
And it's like, I'm sure that it was kind of fun for them, but it's like for her to get back up every time, and it's the I can do this all day Captain America shtick, isn't it? It's like, and the fact that they seem proud of her when she lasts 5 minutes, and she's like, let's go again, we can do it. And then that feels like, I mean, it's an immediate connection to the sort of season 7 episodes of Clone Wars, the last like chunk, the Mandalore episodes, because like the moves that she's pulling in that training scene when they're all shooting her from all sides are exactly the same choreography as what she does like on that table where she first busts out and like knocks out Rex and things. Like some of the spins and stuff. It's like, okay, cool, that makes sense.
Yeah, Jeremy Kelly likes your your seamless segues. We try.
I mean, it's a layup. It's Ralph throws it up and I just put it in.
Yeah. I don't know if that was my favorite Ahsoka episode. The other one is so like not a lot happens, but a lot. Oh no, I didn't like the other one. I don't know.
Last one.
There was the one with
the Inquisitor
that started. Well, no, it was split up into 2 episodes. Her whole thing with Bail Organa and the communicator.
Yep. I like the beginning of that episode.
Yeah, where she was up in the rafters.
At the funeral.
He was talking to her.
Padme's funeral, which I thought was quite sweet.
Yeah.
And just her line of when he sort of he catches her eye, and then he goes and finds her as she's sort of trying to sneak away, and he's like, "Why did you come? It's not worth the risk. You need to go and hide." And I just thought the delivery of her sort of pausing and saying she was my friend, I thought that was really sweet, and it's like it adds a weight to that funeral scene. That okay, we've seen it. We saw her parents. We saw Jar Jar. We saw Boss Nass. Even I think in one of those scenes, like we saw all these people at her funeral, but seeing people that through years of the Clone Wars, we know they had a really good connection. They were very close. It was a friendly sort of quite sibling-ish like relationship, I think. And I really liked it. I thought it was nice.
The scene where Bail was talking to the clone troopers, but really speaking to Ahsoka. Like I really like that.
He's
I
smart. He
forget
knows what he's doing.
I forget what the rest of that episode was. Was
She's
that
she's hiding
the
out on a farm planet.
yeah?
Again,
Stevie
this is
was excited about that because
the
she
other one
read
that
the Ahsoka book and she's calling herself by the name in that book.
it's again, it's the one that it caused a lot of people to piss and moan. And I was absolutely fine with it. It's been ages since I read that book. So I recognized the name. It was Ashla, I think. So she was going by that name. The description of the planet matched what we saw. Yeah, all right. Some of the story beats were slightly different, but who cares? It's an adaptation. Like it was
Yeah.
nice seeing like them take the elements that they needed to tell a 13-minute story.
Mhm.
So I appreciated it for that. In the same way that it sounds like Stevie liked that because of that section matching up. She had a good,
Yeah.
like, close relationship with one of the girls there. Um, Someone else basically clocked that she was a Jedi and tried to grass her up to the Empire. Always
That
a douchebag.
douchebag.
Yeah, always one of those guys. And ruined it for his entire village, which got burnt down.
Yeah. And only two of them survived.
Yeah, exactly. I really liked that Inquisitor. I thought that Inquisitor was really
Oh, it looked
menacing.
cool.
It was a cool look. It was different.
His head's made of a balloon.
Yeah, or
That was weird, right?
he's gaseous of like I don't know.
They definitely showed something where the helmet sort of went
deflated. Like which if it was a Jedi, we'd be like, oh cool, became one with the Force sort of situation. But it's like that we know at this point is very, very rare and also is not something that we've ever seen an Inquisitor or anyone do. So
it's because like Qui-Gon learned it and
yeah,
passed it
taught
on
to Obi-Wan
Obi-Wan.
and Yoda. Like yeah, it was.
So is it? Oh, what if it's Dooku?
It was quite
the
tall.
ghost of Dooku.
It's quite tall-headed, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's the ghost of Dooku.
It's Snoke.
But Dooku would probably see Qui-Gon in the afterlife, or Qui-Gon taught, or Dooku taught him.
Depends on how
So
Dooku went out. Like, despite losing his head, was there a moment of repentance there right at the end as he's like, "Oh, fuck."
It's just his ghost head.
Yeah, it's just the head on
maybe Palpatine knew that Dooku saved Grogu and was just like, he's like, why don't you? I'm gonna be captured by you. Why don't you come with me on this ship? And then he's like, here comes my new apprentice, Anakin, to take out this asshole who took Grogu away from me and put him in the temple.
He took my little Grogu.
And poor Dooku was like, already felt like remorse. And so he became, as soon as his head cut off, like
just
his rest
the
of
head. Yeah.
Just the head is a Force ghost. And it was on a droid. It's a droid body of an Inquisitor with a ghost.
Well, no, I mean,
head.
it was obviously it was Grievous's body.
And then the Dooku head got cut off and went like a balloon. Yeah. It was a real weird.
It was interesting. Like, I didn't notice it first time around, but it's only like earlier on when I was watching. I was like,
it's a specific thing to show.
Yeah.
They didn't just show the head on the ground; they showed it deflate. And I swear, I keep thinking it made that fart sound, but I don't know if it did.
It looked more like a deflating balloon than anything else because there was the
it landed whole, and then they cut to a shot of going.
Yeah.
And so there's a reason.
That doesn't have to be a reason. Could just
but
be that they thought it was interesting.
Just from a production standpoint, Filoni said, "Okay, we can't show decapitation.
Maybe it's
pretend it was.
Maybe it's just an alien that is a gaseous thing. It needs to have a mask and like full bodysuit, and so as soon as you do that, like his body gases just evaporate."
What was that? Beldons? What was the?
Oh no! It's what's his name? The bounty hunter, isn't it? I know they just breathe a different gas.
Wasn't there like a gas?
I don't know.
Or tree goat something? I don't know. This is too much Star Wars minute.
Yeah. Cool design though, really cool. I liked it. And again, I like that it wasn't a big flashy fight. It was Ahsoka getting into her fighting stance, closed fists, and then releasing. Like it's the giving up. It's like there's no anger in here.
Because I was like, where's she hiding her lightsabers in this outfit?
She doesn't have one. So she takes that lightsaber apart and that's how she gets her white lightsabers. Is she like the bled?
Oh,
Like,
is that it?
yeah, that's how she gets those. Her two white lightsabers that we see in Rebels are this dude's
Oh,
lightsaber. Like, well, the kyber crystals anyway.
the
And then
sort of
she's like,
striped. Yeah.
because
Okay.
these have obviously been like
Okay.
corrupted and turned red, and then she sort of heals them or something. I don't know, and that's why they're white and not like a red or blue. They're not a natural thing. They're healed.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah,
Make that the last episode.
or scene of her putting them together or something.
Right.
And then yeah, Bale asks her if she's ready to finish the fight, like it's Halo 3 or something, and she says yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I want to play Halo.
Yeah, let's do it.
I've been itching to play Halo. I don't have an Xbox.
Okay.
I need something. Steam? Is Steam a thing?
Steam's the thing. I don't think Halo's on there though. You can get Game Pass on PCs though, but you're a Mac user like me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
No. Yeah. That was a sad tangent. Halo's great. Halo 3 is the best.
It is
one.
great. Halo 2's online.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
Halo 2 online,
I became,
Halo 3 campaign.
Yeah. Halo 2 online. My accuracy with the sticky bombs.
Yeah.
There was the map. It was inside a spaceship. It was just like a UFO.
I know the one. Yeah, I'm a Covenant ship.
Dude, I would lob sticky grenades from across the map and watch a guy run through a hallway with it stuck on his head, and it's just like.
There's a remake of that map in the latest game in Infinite.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love.
We do a link about Halo.
Like I have, yeah.
That show is trash.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
I watched the whole thing. It's bad.
I never owned an Xbox before. I was living with roommates, and one of them had an extra Xbox.
Okay.
And we would hook them up and play Halo 2 online.
Halo 2 that was the thing. That was probably the game I've played most online.
Yeah.
Midship. Thank you, Adam. Always coming Midship. In with the same. That is it. You've got it right Midship. There.
The sword was right at the top.
Yep. Yeah.
And everyone raced for that sword. Everyone raced for a sword, and you know what I would do?
Not that sticky.
Right at it. Right at it. And then my friend would go get the sword, and we just roll around. I got really good at the needlers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Halo 2's needlers were bad. I know. Halo 2 needlers were bad.
It was. I could still muscle memory. This is Halo. How you dominate with the needlers. It's that. It's just this one comes down first. It's a.
Okay. I see.
It's a quick. This first and then that, and they sync up and just like.
As soon as one's reloading, your next one's still going. Yeah.
And nobody would get them. No one
because
would
get they were a lot weaker in that one because you could dual wield.
Yeah, and if you dual wield, and if you went just this, I don't even know. I'm doing it so quick. I don't even know if you could see this. But this in slow mo. But done. You're done. Before you know it hits you, you're done.
He's got the pink mist.
I remember they made like a needler replica, like a prop replica that like lit up and stuff. I was
working at Forbidden Planet at the time,
yeah, I was at corner store. I was like, there's no way I would want a needler in my room, but holy shit, this is awesome. No one, because everybody,
because like the Covenant and Chief were like big, massive hulking things. So yeah, because in scale of actual humans was ridiculous.
There was the like, you got the little machine gun, whatever, but then there was like the one that you could like that had like
the
a little bit battle rifle.
Yeah.
Like that's what everyone was using. And here I am running out with two needlers, just jacking dudes up.
Oh, dear. I don't know how we get back. I mean, like Jeremy Kelly was shouting out my transitions earlier on, and I feel like I threw us down onto a Halo ring, and now we're stuck here.
I'm here. Well, the thing is, everyone was praising you. Scott D was like, he said that like James keeps it moving along, and I'm like, fuck you guys, I'm on this show too. So this is what's gonna happen.
So now we're gonna talk about midship.
Yes.
I've missed Data Link. Data Link's fun.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things that's like I didn't have to wake up early for this, and also like it's like nice and loose. Like Data Link is
Yeah,
so loose. I was
yeah.
like, I'm gonna open the show talking about my friends thing. I can mention something. Not this is tangentially Star
Okay,
Wars related.
just very quickly before we do that, I think we're pretty much done on Tales of the Jedi, right? I've got nothing
Right.
else.
I
So
like
yeah,
some more than others.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Overall, I
I
just
like
don't
the
know
series.
why.
I would
Hey,
love to see.
hey,
I'd love to see the series carry on, and if they're doing 2-3 episode sets, I'd really like a High Republic story about something we don't really know about yet, paired with like something from Luke's Academy. Like go
I,
different, tell us new stuff.
I started asking the question at the beginning of this: why these stories?
Mhm.
And I'm hoping in the future we'll find out why these stories, and that they'll
Maybe
all
I
sort
think
of
it's
come.
also
I don't need it
interesting
all
that
to
it's
tie together.
Tales of the Jedi, but it's two Jedi that left the Order. I think
Yeah,
that's the connection, and it's two that left of their own volition as well. Like, and then what did they do after? Um,
yeah,
yeah. So I think that's the connection. But is there a further connection with other stuff that's coming up? We'll see.
yeah.
All right, that's it for Tales of the Jedi. We liked it. We thought some were better than others. We'd like to see
Yes,
more.
better ones. We'd like to see more better ones.
I mean, that's
Um,
that's that's true for everything. Always be improving.
yeah, yeah. Um, Ryan Johnson directed the Last Jedi. If you don't know,
Hmm.
he has a new movie out
Oh, it does.
called Glass Onion, which I saw a couple days ago.
I haven't had a chance. I'm gonna have to catch it on Netflix.
It's yeah, I think it comes out in a month on Netflix.
Okay.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And I'm sitting there watching this movie, and I'm like, God, he's in such control of this masterful story, and everything is perfectly laid out, and the characters are so well done. And I'm like, why is the Last Jedi just 100% in control? Awesome. And I honestly believe that Ryan Johnson's like, oh shit, I have one chance to make a Star Wars. I'm going to put everything I've ever wanted to see in a Star Wars in this movie.
Mm,
And it just might have been a little too long.
mm,
I feel like
yeah,
he didn't get reined in.
it's almost
But
like he shouldn't. Like I like Last Jedi. I'll defend Last Jedi when we do
I
that
like it.
episode. Yeah, but I think it would have been better if someone else had done the Last Jedi and they just cracked on with his trilogy and let him do his trilogy where he can do whatever he wants. Where he knows how long he's got. He's got longer to do whatever he wants, so he doesn't know to pack it all in, and he can tell his own
Another thing is like,
story.
he's all about character work. Like if you watch
Right.
Knives Out, the characters in that are amazing and they're all superly awesome performed and all this stuff. He was given characters to play with, and so he wanted to make them his characters.
Sure.
So that kind of is like, oh well, it kind of changes things up from what J.J. Abrams was doing. That's okay. Colin Trevorrow will come in and play off of that, and everything kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
But dude, Glass Onion.
Mm.
I mean, probably my favorite movie of the year, but
Wow.
I don't know what else I saw this year. I like the Batman a lot.
Top Gun.
Top Gun. It's such a different animal. It's such a crowd pleasing. Top Gun, I
Blockbuster.
said, was junk food.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's junk, but it's really good junk food. It's
Oh
like a
yeah, you
good,
want it. It's
it's
like
like a banana
ah
split. Like this
yeah,
banana split is like, there's a lot of stuff going on here. It's really good, but it
but it's
seems like the nutritional value is not great.
yeah.
This thing is like some sort of, I don't even know.
You go into a really good restaurant, you've had just like a fucking great meal.
But it's still a little bit junk food.
Yeah.
Like there's something about Glass Onion where it's mostly a comedy, but it's done with like very, very good actors. And just like it's so entertaining.
Mm.
The character's amazing. Daniel Craig, which we went and watched after we're done with Glass Onion, watched like a 2-hour featurette on Knives Out.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to Danny Boyle fucking up Bond 25.
Yeah, that's how he was able
It gave Daniel Craig time to come in. Like they didn't have Daniel Craig in mind, and they were just like, hey, he's available. And
Now
they're
you
like,
can
that
do
would
it.
be
I
awesome.
mean, it's
And now
Yeah.
it's like we need a million of these Benoit Blanc movies. But
yeah.
um uh yeah, see it. See
Yeah,
Glass
I'm
Onion.
going to. It's. I think it's only in theaters for the rest of this week, and I'm at work, so I'm not going to get a chance. But I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to
And I
seeing it.
mean,
I really want to revisit Knives Out again, but it's weirdly not on Netflix in the UK, despite the fact that they own like
I
the
don't think
rights
it's
to all this.
available on
Oh,
Netflix
is it
here
not?
either.
I
I own
would've
it.
thought-
I own it on iTunes.
Yeah, I might see
We
if it's on
watch it
offer or
quite a
something.
bit.
Yeah,
We
it's
watched it a
great.
couple
It's
weeks ago.
so fun.
Stevie wanted to watch it again the other night. I'm like, well, there's this making of. But it's great. And it's a completely like different movie.
Yeah, that's good.
Daniel Craig feels a little bit different in it, but it doesn't matter because everyone's having so much fun. It's good.
It's good stuff.
It's good.
Looking
And
forward to it.
yeah. So Ryan Johnson continues to knock it out of the park with his films.
Don't think he's made a bad one. I've liked all of them on different levels.
Yeah.
That's gonna do it for this week because I gotta get to work and not be too late today. Because
Yeah.
We don't have to rush off as quickly next week, so we will see what we do with our talk about Troops. It's back to a regular episode, so it'll be on audio and on video. And yeah, we'll tweet out the link, put it on all the places that you find us. We'll put it on Instagram and Hive and all of that stuff. It's available on YouTube. It's a fan film from the late 90s, Troops, based on cops, but in Star Wars. You might have heard of it if you've been around Star Wars for a long time. It's very fun. I haven't watched it in probably close to 20 years, but I remember it very
I've never
fondly.
seen it.
Yeah. And we're finally getting to it after a couple of months delay. Because Ralph isn't sick anymore, guys. It's great.
Right. Well, I mean, I think my other one is in the process of going.
Okay.
I had a sharp pain last night, right in my back, but this is like my last one was a centimeter. This one is 2 millimeters. So
in comparison,
I've dealt with that before.
Yeah. But yeah, until next week, guys. Thank you for joining us for Data Link. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. Share us, do all the nice things. Tell people about us. I found a new subreddit this week called Star Wars Cantina. That's all about positivity and everything. And cool. I posted about the show, and people seem to be quite receptive. So if you've joined us from there, hi, thanks. Go tell other people. Go do that. Follow the show everywhere. We're bad at promoting
at Live Action SW. I probably should run the banner, but it's down here in the show notes.
There you go. Live Action SW everywhere.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Don't give it hate.
Celebrate the love.
Punch it.